get to play a member of Congress. And I'm choosing Representative John Curtis from Utah, who is a co-sponsor of the SAVE Act. And Jay, how are you coming to visit?
Thank you so much, Representative, for meeting with me. As you know, I'm a constituent in your district, and I have a group of constituents here with me, and we're really excited to talk to you about a bill that we're really concerned about, that we know is coming down, and you're going to have a chance to vote on it really soon.
Well, what bill would that be that you're concerned about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the bill we're concerned about is HR 22. Um,
Oh, well, I'm a co-sponsor of that bill. I really think it's imperative that we secure our elections. You know, there are millions of illegals flooding over the border, and some of them are settling right here in Utah. And what I'm very worried about is ordinary American citizens are not able to have their voices heard. In fact, their voices are being drowned out by all of these non-citizens who are getting in there by hook or crook. I think there are Democrats out there that are bringing some of these people in. Who knows if they even live in Utah? It is imperative that we stop this. So I can't quite understand what kind of concern you would have with protecting the election integrity in our nation.
Yeah, well, with respect, Representative, I'm very concerned as a constituent, as a voter who has voted for the last 20 years. I'm actually worried that this bill could impact me and my family.
But
Um,
it's not about you and your family. It's about stopping non-citizen voting. What do you mean it would be about you and your family?
Yeah, well, actually, the bill requires that you must show a passport or birth certificate in order to register to vote. For me, a
Absolutely. Yeah.
passport is just too expensive, and I don't travel, so I don't have a passport. And when I got married, I changed my name, so I don't have a birth certificate in my new name either. Now, I've been an American citizen my entire life. I was born here in Utah, and this bill is going to make it impossible for me to register to vote if it passes. So I'm very worried that it's going to affect me and people like me throughout your constituency.
Well, you're saying that you think you won't be able to vote because of this bill, but doesn't that just, that's just a little change. Why don't you go down? You should really, it's very important that you keep your documents up to date.
Well, in my community, I have plenty of friends who have the same problem as me, and our right to vote is one of our most fundamental freedoms. It's essential that everyone get a chance to exercise their right. If this bill suppresses even one American who should be eligible to vote, it's one too many. And I've been discussing it with members of my community and my church, and they're also very concerned. We all,
Oh, what church do you go to?
oh, well, I go to All Souls Unitarian.
Oh, you do. I think that's down the road from my church. I'm
Yeah,
not
do you know
sure.
Pastor Rick?
I've met Pastor Rick. I can't say that I agree with him on many things. He spent some time in this office, but I'm glad to know you're going to church.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, this is a big concern among all of our congregation. We've been talking about it during after Sunday services. So I think you'll find it's something that lots of Christians are concerned about. You know, we're Americans, we're patriotic. Well, we really believe the importance of voting as a civic duty, and this is something that will take that away from many of us.
Well, I like that you think of voting as a civic duty. It is indeed a civic duty, and too many Americans treat it lightly. So that's something on which we certainly agree. I need to be frank with you, Jay. I think you can tell that I'm probably unlikely to withdraw as a co-sponsor from this bill. I mean, I have already put my good name down. I was advised by my legislative staff. I appreciate your coming in. Um, and I will take your concerns into account, but I'm sure in the implementation of this bill, at each state, we've given a lot of freedom. And certainly here in Utah, we're going to make sure that people who are American citizens can vote.
Yeah. Well, have you spoken to some of your colleagues from Kansas? Some of the Republicans on your side of the aisle are actually opposing this bill because they implemented a form of this bill in their state, and it suppressed many of their voters from showing out to do their civic duty. Have you talked to any of your colleagues from Kansas on the bill?
Well, I can't say that I have, but that's very interesting. I'll certainly caucus with those folks from Kansas. I know they're trying to do a lot of things right in Kansas, but I do have a concern about that. And I thank you for bringing that to my attention. Now, I'm so sorry, but I have a number of meetings that I have to get to that are going to take my attention. Thank you very much for coming in and making a visit.
Well, thank you very much for taking time to listen to us. And I hope you'll consider that this is a priority issue for so many of us in your district, and it's something we'll be deciding our votes on in November.
Thank you. All right. So here we go. We're going to give a round to Jay. Way to keep going. I decided to make the member of Congress far more aggressive than you're likely to find, just because you can be ready. You know, some of these lawmakers right now are feeling pretty darned empowered. So just remember to keep your cool like Jay did. And Jay made a number of arguments that were really important. She kept pushing. When I was trying to shut her down, she kept pushing over and over. And that was really important. Some of the arguments that Jay made, recapitulate really quickly. How did you try to take? I came at you saying, no, 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 non-citizens, we don't want non-citizens voting. The first thing you didn't do is you didn't come out saying, that's a myth. You believe a myth. You took a different approach. Say a little bit more about why you took the approach you did.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we try to do when we do Capitol Hill visits is we understand that our values aren't necessarily the same as the representatives' values, but we try to echo the values that we think we do share in order to push them in the right direction, right? You're not going to always be able to move a Republican who's already signed on to a bill, but a Republican does care about perhaps Christians in his district who have strong values, who have a strong community, and who are citizens who are going to be affected by this. So it may not be aligned with your values to focus on those elements, but it's something that might be more relatable or more interesting to him and more a constituency he's more interested in being responsive to.
I think that's great. The other piece is when I said, I'm not likely to withdraw my co-sponsorship of this. You didn't let me off the hook. You kept pushing around it and changed it into, have you talked to Republican members of the House that people that are part of your party that have concerns? That's a really great, if you can do that, that is excellent because they're always caucusing together. Most of them know the positions, but every so often they're not really talking to each other. And that is a current rift. So you made the most of that. And then when I tried to usher you out of the office, you came back quickly with your final closing remarks. So that when I left that meeting, what I was thinking about is this is a young woman who's not giving up. This bill is affecting married women, and they're people that are people of faith in my constituency that are on another side of this from me. So those are some